behind the scenes stuff. Like when you're watching a sitcom and they show you like, behind the scenes and behind the set. This is behind the set. So you're just talking to me right now. John's looking at me, pointing and pushing buttons, and he gives me a thumbs up, and then we can get started, which is great. So this gives you an opportunity to get settled in. If you need a glass of water or something like that, get ready, because it's a great show again today. John said I'm ready to go. So I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, and what we're going to talk about today are supplements and slowing down the aging process, and the research that's out there, really good research. It's new research, just out about a week or two ago. So we're going to talk about that topic. I'm going to talk for 24 minutes. Any platform you're on, you can type a question in, any question on healthcare. At the break, John's going to read me the questions. I'll answer them. Then we're going to do another 24 minutes, and then John's going to read me your other questions as well. So please feel free to ask any questions you want on healthcare. If I have an answer, I'll give it to you. Please share this with everybody in your contact group, because this is vital information. And all our shows are always stored on our website, drjoe.com. So let me get a sip of tea here. If you're not in Georgia, it's a bad pollen day today. But a storm just started, so it should clear up very quickly. All right, John, I'm ready to go when you are. Here we go. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Glad you're with me today. We're going to talk today about a new study that just came out a couple of days ago on multivitamins and can they slow down the aging process. Spoiler alert, yes. So you don't have to listen to the rest of the show. No, you do have to listen to the rest of the show. So this was presented at the American Heart Association Epidemiology, Prevention, Lifestyle, and Cardiometabolic Health Science session in New Orleans. Boy, that's a lot of doctors in one room, isn't it? And what they did is they wanted to address whether multivitamins in a randomized clinical setting could slow biological aging, and they have ways to measure it through DNA and things like this. So they said, okay, can multivitamins work? And I've known this for years, but this is just another study showing that what? Dr. Joe was right. We know a lot of people have nutritional deficiencies. I've been seeing patients now for over 40 years. And it's rare that I find somebody that wouldn't benefit from some supplement. In fact, I'm going to make a bold statement and say I don't know anyone who wouldn't benefit for specific supplements for their specific health issues. I take supplements every day. I think you should too. But you got to make sure you're getting quality. My German grandfather, I quote him a lot on this show. He always said, always buy the best. It's always cheaper. Because what happens, it's human nature. You look up a supplement. Oh, I'm going to get that. Let me go to Amazon. Let me see if it's cheaper. Let me go to Walmart. Let me go to, whatever, drugstore, and see if I can get it cheaper. Well, you probably can. But it's the quality. And it's all about quality, because even if you pay a penny for it, and it doesn't work, you wasted a penny. And sometimes bad supplements, like a calcium carbonate, for example, can actually do harm. Can be more harm than good. So that's why you want to make sure you're getting quality supplements. They don't say what kind of supplements they used in this. So even if they use bad ones and they got results, imagine what the results would be if they used good ones. So they did randomized studies. There's a lot of studies before this. Multivitamins have been shown to benefit in reducing the risk of several chronic diseases. Well, that's what I've been teaching you for 40 years. Physicians Health Study and the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force reported that total invasive cancer was reduced with multivitamin supplementation. I'm going to ask a rhetorical question at this point. Have any of you or had cancer or know someone who had cancer? Have the doctors ever suggested a supplement protocol? The answer is probably going to be mostly no. And hopefully every now and then somebody said at least take vitamin D or something like that. But generally speaking, I see a lot of cancer patients, and they come in and I ask them what their doctors said. And they'll do this, maybe chemo, maybe extraction. None of them have ever said, let's do some multivitamins. And the studies are there. They're very clear. These are medical studies. These are done by the medical profession. So it's not like some guy in his basement did it. Double-blind, peer-reviewed studies. So it's kind of cool. And what's fun is that healthcare is shifting in this direction. I'm seeing more and more doctors sending their patients to me and saying, hey, Dr. Joe, can you help me get to the cause of this person's high blood pressure, diabetes? What can we do to alkalize their system? What can we do to enhance the treatment that we're giving them? And I get excited every time a doctor refers a patient and asks me a question like that. What can we do to enhance the treatment? I'm not saying don't do the treatment. I'm saying what can we do to enhance that treatment? And like supplements are just so inexpensive. For pain patients, chiropractic care, most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain. So it's so cost effective, so low risk, so high reward when we try to get to the cause of the problem, but the system isn't set up that way. But you don't have to be part of the system. That's the nice part. You can say, okay, I'm going to try something different, And I always tell patients if it doesn't work, it didn't work. Very low risk, very high reward. Multivitamins were associated with reduced risk of cataracts, loss of helping with memory loss, cognitive decline, and there were 3 separate studies done on that. So I work a lot with seniors, and when seniors come in, I mean, even at my age, I start to think, okay, my brain at some point may start to go. What can I do to keep it going? Now, some people are blessed with genetics. Some people, I don't want to roll the dice, because if I'm not blessed with genetics, it's going to be too late. So I'm going to assume that I need to take care of myself now. So there's a multivitamin group compared to the placebo group. Average about 10 to 20% slower aging with the multivitamin use over 2 years of intervention. That's pretty cool. 20% slowdown in the aging process. Wow. And I always joked, if there was a pill that can slow down the aging process 20%, wouldn't you take it? Absolutely. Well, there is. It's called a multivitamin. And you want to make sure you get a quality one too. So multivitamins and other dietary supplements will never be a substitute for a good diet and healthy lifestyle. Remember, it's called a supplement. It supplements your diet. It's not instead of a good diet and healthy lifestyle. It's an addition to a healthy lifestyle and a good diet. And when you put those together, and then if you do have neurological issues, chiropractic care, maybe the stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm, we can physically massage the stomach away from the diaphragm. If we can line things up, if we can get the right nutrients into the body, supplement it properly, it's an amazing combination. I had a patient this week, and she came in, and she was sent by her sister, and she did not want to talk about anything but diet, and she didn't even want to talk about that. But she had fatty liver, she had bloating, she had digestive issues, she was diabetic. Very classic patient who looks like, she could use some help. And she sat there and she had her purse on her lap, holding her purse. The body language was saying, don't even talk to me. I don't even want to be here. So we talked for about 10, 15, 20 minutes. In the end, she goes, well, you know what? I know I should check my stomach and I understand I should check my spine, but let's just do nutrition. I said, okay, whatever you decide. She goes, hold on. What would you do? What would you recommend? I said, if it was me, knowing what I know, I would want to get everything fixed as quickly as possible. She said, okay, let's do that. And I want to bring my daughter in. I want to bring my husband in. So if you don't understand the whole process, you think, well, I don't want to do all this. It's not hard. It's inexpensive. It's generally pain-free. Low risk, high reward for healthcare. Sounds like a good plan to me. And it was wonderful because I was pretty much convinced this woman was not going to do anything I said. And it turns out she did everything I said. And I said, do it for 60 days. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So what? For 60 days, I lied to you. But she got it when I explained it to her. So diet is so important, and you can manage it. Now, when it comes to a multivitamin, there's a lot of them on the market. I don't like the commercial ones because many times they'll use non-methylated supplements. 60 to 60%, depending on the study you read, 60% of us can't methylate our supplements, which means we can't convert them into a usable form. So, for example, a lot of multivitamins might have folic acid in it. Well, folic acid has to be converted into folate. Well, if you have a problem with one of your genes, you can't do that. And so it's really not going to be very usable for you. A lot of multivitamins have cyanocobalamin in it. Cyanocobalamin is a form of B12, but it's cyanide with B12. Why not just do methylcobalamin? It's already methylated. It's in the usable form, and that's a better choice. So you want to make sure you're getting quality supplements. So when people come in and say, I bought this big bottle of supplements for $5 and it'll last me 5 years, it's like, that's probably not going to give you what you want. Calcium carbonate, not a good form of calcium. So I always recommend Dr. Joe's Essential Source. And Dr. Joe's Essential Source is something that I created. And it has prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, complete multivitamin, fruits and vegetables in a dried form. And all the supplements are methylated, easy to use, the ones that need to be. So I recommend Dr. Joe's Essential Source as a multi. I can't imagine not taking it every day. It's on the website, drjoe.com. If you're not willing to do anything else, at least take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Super Greens helps clean out your liver. It has chlorella, spirulina, omega-3 fatty acids, iodine. Many of us are deficient in iodine. Helps the thyroid and every other cell in the body. So Super Greens and Essential Source, that's like the starter kit for multivitamins. So I would love to see them do this test again, or these studies again, using Super Greens and Essential Source. I predict, I don't have any proof of this, they'd get a lot better results than even got. Wouldn't that be cool? So I can't imagine starting a day without Super Greens and Essential Source. I would also recommend a B complex. B vitamins. We pee out all our B vitamins except B12. So every day we have to replace our B vitamins. And most of us don't replace them, and so the body malfunctions. You can survive, but you don't thrive. And that's my goal. I want you to thrive when it comes to life. And B vitamins are so important for so many different things: brain function, neurological function. They help on make the body function and utilize nutrients better. So B vitamins are really important. I can't imagine not taking a B vitamin every day, and they are just spectacular. So I take Dr. Joe's B Complex, again, on the website, drjoe.com. I want to talk about a supplement that you probably have never heard of before. It's called glutathione. Glutathione, the title of the article is Glutathione to Improve Health and Age-Related Degeneration. Now, I always joke about this. Wouldn't it be amazing if there was a pill that you could take that would slow down the aging process, that would help with brain function, that would help with liver function, that would give you more energy, that can help with circulation, help rebuild cartilage, help rebuild tissue and connective joints and connective tissue? And the answer is they do exist. It's called a quality supplement. Knowing how to use them is the key. And I've spent 40 years studying the use of different supplements and herbs and food, what food does, what foods to eat, what foods to avoid. A lot of nutrition is not doing anything, it's not doing something. If you could not do bad things, in most cases, you see good results. So I can't make it easier. Good nutrition is passive, not active. You have to not do things. I talk about something called the 7 deadly sins of nutrition. That would be alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. I know that's your whole diet. But alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, I call the 7 deadly sins of nutrition. And I ask people, at least cut back on these products. You don't have to cut them out. I wish you would cut them out. But at least cut back for 60 days. And let's see what happens. And again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So what? I'm wrong. But let's try to do everything we can to not put the junk in our bodies. There's also environmental. I've got over 4,000 hours of content on my website, drjoe.com, and we talk about environmental issues: perfumes, hairsprays, colognes, carpets, carpet cleaners, flame retardants, these chemicals that can have adverse effects on your body. So it's a lot going on in our world. And so you just take a little bit at a time, okay? Like the old saying says, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you change your lifestyle? One step at a time. It's not hard. It's easy. And on the website, like I said, you could search the website forever for about 4,000 hours of content there and just decide what's going to work best for you. You know, don't use hairsprays and colognes anymore. If you have to use something, use essential oils. I have no carpets in my house. When I bought the house many years ago, it had carpet. Piece by piece, I removed the carpet, put in hardwoods and tiles. A lot easier to clean. They don't breed mold. So little steps like this. It didn't happen overnight in my life, and it won't happen overnight in your life. But I digress. Let's talk about glutathione. It's an antioxidant. What does that mean? Your body produces something called free radicals. We're exposed to it from environment, from lights, from radiation, just your body producing free radicals on its own. And you want something called antioxidants to stop the free radicals from doing the damage. So if you imagine free radical like Pac-Man, waka, 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 it's eating through things. And the antioxidants come and they stop Pac-Man from doing the damage. That's a real simple analogy. So antioxidants are great. Glutathione, we call the master antioxidant. It's the one that does so many different things on so many different levels. And by boosting glutathione, it led to improvements in oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is what? Free radicals eating away at things. Mitochondrial dysfunction. It helps with mitochondrial dysfunction. What's the mitochondria? The mitochondria is the part of the cell, it's inside the cell, it generates electricity. It's what we call the powerhouse of the cell. And if the mitochondria isn't working properly, it's not going to produce electricity. The cell isn't going to be as vibrant and alive. So glutathione can protect those bad guys from attacking the mitochondria. It helps with inflammation, endothelial dysfunction, aligning of the blood vessels. It helps them work more efficiently. It helps with insulin resistance, strength, cognition, and a lot more. Gosh, that sounds like a wonder supplement. Why have I never heard of it before? Well, you should. There's a big buzz that's out right now on NAD. Take NAD, it fights the aging process. And what happens is supplements go through these cycles. When they're all over buzz, they're all over social media, and then a new one will come out next time. Mushrooms were popular for a while. And so NAD is popular, but NAD converts into glutathione. So, yes, I want you to have NAD, but NAD comes from vitamin B3. That's one of the reasons I want you to take Dr. Joe's B complex. See, it all comes back. It's a big circle. We all come back to the same thing here. Lack of glutathione in older adults can be a key element in oxidative stress, mitochondrial dysfunction, and then age-related degeneration. So what's a practical approach? Increase your glutathione levels. A supplement I take every day is Dr. Joe's glutathione. It's on the website, drjoe.com. All our supplements are. It's up in the store section. And I take it every day. Now, if you eat the standard American diet, if you drink alcohol, if you have a lot of stress, if you have environmental toxins, more reasons to take glutathione. But most people think I'm about 15 years younger than I am. And it's challenging. As a single man, it's challenging because most people my age are sitting down doing nothing. I want to go out and hang out with young people because I've slowed down that aging process. Haven't stopped it, but I slowed it down. And that's why I always talk about keeping the joints in line, keeping everything lined up properly. Because if joints are lined up properly, they're going to function more efficiently. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, sciatica, chances are you have pinched nerves. And the number one treatment for pinched nerves is chiropractic care. It's not the only treatment, but in most cases, chiropractic care is where you should start. Most effective, least expensive. And that's where you should be. So if you have pain, I want you to come see us. If you want to make an appointment, go to my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We can set you up an appointment as soon as this week. Whenever this week is, we can do it. And let's check your nervous system. Let's check your digestive system. Let's look at your diet and see if we can put together a protocol specifically for you. Normally, the first visit is $940. I've reduced that to $299. For you, my listeners, that's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, on the follow-up visit going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation. X-rays alone are going to cost you more than that anywhere else. So let's try to get to the cause of your health problems. And even if you are on medication, if you are under other doctors' treatments, let's work together with the doctors, co-manage the case, and get to the cause of your healthcare problems. So the supplements, make an appointment, search the website, send me questions. I probably get 20, 30 questions a day through the website, drjoe.com. I answer every one of them for you, drjoe.com. Go there. You're going to find a lot of cool stuff there. And you can make an appointment or send me questions through the website too. So when you boost your mitochondria, they did a pilot study on glutathione, 24 weeks, giving people glutathione supplementation. Multiple health improvements, including mitochondrial dysfunction, endothelial dysfunction, we talked about that, blood vessels, cognition, brain function, exercise capacity, you worked out better, oxidative stress, the free radicals eating away at the body, insulin resistance, what do we call that? Type 2 diabetes, right? Strength, body fat levels, inflammation, gait speed, how fast you can walk and balance, and even your waist circumference. Why have you never heard of this supplement before? You should be taking it every day. So benefits declined after glutathione supplement discontinued for 12 weeks. So they gave it to him for 24 weeks, and after 12 weeks of not taking it, they started to see the benefits decline. So it's something you probably need to take on a regular basis. Supplementing glutathione in aging humans could be a simple and viable method to promote health and warrants additional investigation. There it is. And everything I talk about with supplements, with food, with chiropractic care, it's always the least expensive version of a treatment. I can't tell you how many patients I've seen over the years that were told they need back surgery. And back surgery, $50,000, $75,000 or more. Chiropractic care, if we treat them every day, which we won't, it's still cheaper to come to our office than go one day. I used to say one day in the hospital. And then one day I cut my mouth and I went to the emergency room. A year's worth of treatment in our office is less expensive than 2 hours in the hospital. Why wouldn't you do it? And we accept most insurances. And if you don't have insurance, it's still less expensive than anything else. So make your appointments, drjoe.com. There's even a link to glutathione and COVID-19. Significant oxidative stress, COVID really caused a lot of these free radicals to form. A glutathione deficiency may be the root to severe illness, including COVID-19. This is by a Dr. Alexei Palnikov. Oxidative stress contributes to hyperinflammation of the lungs and adverse disease outcomes such as acute respiratory distress, multi-organ failure, and death. Many of the comorbid factors That's other things aside from just the, if comorbidity is what else is going on. So you might have a heart attack, but you also have diabetes and you have obesity. Those are comorbidities. So many of the comorbidity factors that predict severe COVID-19 disease were also tied to glutathione deficiency. Why have you never heard of this thing before? In one evaluation of COVID-19 patients for 6 hospitals in Atlanta, my hometown, researchers found independent factors that raised the risk of hospitalizations, including being male, type 2 diabetes, advanced age, and being obese. There's evidence that glutathione deficiency can be implicated in these comorbidities. Not saying it's the cause of it, but it's certainly implicated in it. It can be related to it. So glutathione can reduce acetaldehyde toxicity. What's acetaldehyde? It's a breakdown product of alcohol. When you drink, and acetaldehyde is what causes the hangover, so glutathione can help reduce the acetaldehyde toxicity. Not saying you should drink. I'm not giving you permission to drink. If you do drink, and I always say this, if you do drink, I want you to take your regular supplements, Super Green Essential Source B Complex and glutathione in the morning, like you should do every day, and then I want you to take a second dose at night. You can do it even after you go drinking or right before you go drinking, because you want to stop the damage that the alcohol does. I wish you wouldn't drink. I haven't had a drink since I was 28 years old. I had a glass of champagne. I was in a place called Anguilla, beautiful island, and they sent a bottle of champagne to my room. And I had a sip. I had a glass. I said, I'm on Anguilla, beautiful island overlooking the ocean. I had a glass of champagne, and I felt awful. And I said, I'm done. I'm never going to drink again. I haven't drank since then. But if you are going to drink, because I'm also a realist, I want you to do Super Green Essential Source B Complex and glutathione, which are the 4 basic supplements you should be taking every day anyway, along with vitamin D3. But I would take a second dose and see what happens. I wish I wouldn't tell you this because that almost sounds like I'm condoning drinking, but people come back to me all the time and say, Dr. Joe, oh my God, I feel so much better than I used to have a whole day or two wasted if I went out and have a couple of drinks. Well, if you're going to drink, at least, mitigate the damage. So foods with a positive impact that produce glutathione. What can I do from foods? Cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, green tea, curcumin. That's turmeric. It's on our website, drjoe.com. I take it every day. Rosemary and milk thistle. Now, if you come to my office in Marietta, I started out with 3 little rosemary bushes in the front of my office many, many years ago. 3 little tiny things, from a pot. Now they cover the whole front of the office. They're beautiful and they smell great. And they have pretty purple flowers. But feel free to clip as much rosemary as you'd like. Take it home with you because that saves me the trouble of having to pay somebody to do gardening on it. But it's fresh, it's organic. Pick it, use it. I use it every chance I can. I love using rosemary in soups. It goes well with potatoes. But these are all things that can help mitigate the damage from what you're doing every day. But glutathione is so important, and you get it. You get the precursors from it, from B complex, vitamin B3, and again, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, things like this. So glutathione is something I take every day to protect my liver. If you're taking medications, any type of medications, I don't care if it's over-the-counter acetaminophen, I want you to take a glutathione supplement, and I want you to take Dr. Joe's Super Greens with chlorella in it to help protect the liver. I'm not against medications. I have a traumatic brain injury. I was hit by a car when I was 10 years old, and I was dead. Surprisingly, I didn't die. And with a traumatic brain injury, periodically it flares up, and I get a headache. Now, if I get a headache, I suffer. So if I'm not near one of my chiropractors to get adjusted, what do? I take some acetaminophen, and it calms the headache down. And then I take a double dose of glutathione, a double dose of Super Greens to protect my liver from taking the glutathione, from taking the acetaminophen. So if you're going to take meds, at least protect yourself. Minimum supplements. Super Greens and Essential Source. We have new flavors too. We have Peach Mango Essential Source. We have Berry Super Greens. If maybe you tried them before, you got bored with the flavors, try the new flavors. Glutathione is a pill, you swallow it, and the B complex is a pill, you swallow it. And I also recommend vitamin D3, not so much for the glutathione liver issues, but D3 does a lot of things. And I'm going to talk about that coming up in the second half because it's one of those supplements that should be the law. I think, if I was Grand Poobah of the universe, I would say everybody has to take Super Greens and Essential Source. Everybody should get their spine checked. Everybody should get their stomach checked. And if we can do that, we would reduce healthcare costs dramatically. And how can I say that definitively? Because there are tons of studies out there showing that chiropractic care is the most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain. And it can prevent so many different surgeries. Even the Veterans Administration, the VA, I'm on their referral list. They know that if they send people out for chiropractic, generally speaking, they're going to save money by sending them out, not even treating them in-house. They're going to save money. So let's get that nervous system checked. Let's get your digestive system checked. Let's do a supplement protocol specifically for you. If you have any questions, send them to me through my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Follow me on social media, Dr. Joe Esposito. Facebook is the Dr. Joe Esposito. I want to be your doctor. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We'll be right back. All right. I got a lot more to cover here. What you got for me?
Should I eat maca root?
Sure, absolutely. It's a very good supplement. Nothing wrong with that. Has a lot of good benefits to it. What else you got?
I enjoy toast. I prefer extra virgin olive oil as a topping. Should I add the extra virgin olive oil before or after cooking the toast?
After. If you're going to make toast, I want you to do this. I want you to create a healthier version of your toast. The only bread I would recommend eating, excuse me, is the only bread I'd recommend eating is sprouted bread. Okay, Ezekiel is a brand name. I know Sprouts has their own version. Kroger, Publix, they have their own versions of sprouted bread. I want you to take the bread and freeze it. And then when you want a piece of toast or bread, take it out of the freezer. When you put it in a toaster, only toast it very lightly. Because if it starts getting burned, you create something called acrylamides, which are linked to cancer. And the olive oil, you don't want to put it on there because olive oil doesn't heat very well. Doesn't play well with heat. So if you're going to make a very light Ezekiel toast and then put some olive oil on it, great. You want to put some oregano on it? Antiviral. Excellent. Put some garlic, antibiotic, antiviral, and antifungal. Air-dried sea salt, 70 different minerals. So you can take a plain piece of bread and actually make it a healthy snack. But you got to do it the right way. So freeze it, and then when you take it out, it creates a resistant starch. You absorb 40% less carbohydrates. Those carbohydrates then become prebiotics, which feeds bacteria in your colon. Boy, that's a long question to answer yes or no, right? What else you got, John?
Should I drink sassafras tea, and what is regular tea made out of?
My father loved sassafras tea, so when you said sassafras, it made me smile, made me think of my dad. Sassafras tea is great. I love it. It tastes like birch beer or root beer. If you've never had it, it really is a nice flavor. Regular tea is just orange pekoe tea. It's a tea leaf. It's a certain plant. And depending on when you pick the leaf, is it white tea? Is it oolong tea? Is it black tea? It just depends how mature the leaf is. Tea will absorb aluminum from the soil. So if you're going to do tea, regular tea, you want to do organic only. It's still going to have aluminum in it, but it's just a leaf. But that being said, it's a gazillion times better than coffee, commercial coffee, especially when you start adding the sugars and the creams and the junk in there. So, yeah, tea's fine. I have no problem with it. And so drink up. I'm drinking slippery elm tea today, as a matter of fact. I drink slippery elm tea every day because slippery elm tea helps coat your throat. And I speak a lot. So I like to have something warm, and the slippery elm also helps prevent irritation of my throat because I talk a lot. So, what else you got, John?
How often should I eat black beans, and do they naturally have sodium?
Black beans do not naturally have sodium in them, no. If they're canned, then they'll put sodium in there as well, but you can just rinse it off. That's fine. You can eat black beans every day. In fact, a lot of doctors, like Dr. Greger, who's a brilliant doctor, he calls it part of his protocol every day you should be eating beans. So, and if you do eat beans, it causes a little gas for you. What you want to do is take Dr. Joe's digestive enzymes, and the digestive enzymes help break down the raffinose and the proteins which cause the gas. You can also add some apple cider vinegar to the beans, and that'll help with the digestion. If you soak dried beans overnight and then rinse them off and cook them then, you're going to reduce some of that gas as well. So, yeah, black beans every day.
That is all?
Awesome. All right. All right. Let me make sure I'm clear here. Looking out the window, watching the storm clear all the pollen out. All right, ready for round two? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. If you're just joining us, welcome. If you stayed with us, I appreciate that. As always, I appreciate you guys staying with me. We're talking today about a study that was just released very recently, in the past couple of weeks, on multivitamins as an anti-aging protocol, and the answer is yes. Multivitamins help. So what I'm doing now is I'm breaking down some of the vitamins in a multivitamin and why they're important. So we talked about glutathione earlier, and if you're not doing glutathione, you should. Cruciferous vegetables have it in there. Curcumin with turmeric is in there, but I take a glutathione supplement. It's on our website, drjoe.com. I want to talk about vitamin K2, because I always talk about vitamin D3, but I don't talk much about its sister, vitamin K2. So Vitamin K2 helps bones absorb calcium, which can reduce the risk of bone fracture and osteoporosis. One of the many things that vitamin D3 does, it absorbs calcium. It takes the calcium from the food and brings it into the blood system. K2 takes it from the blood system through a conversion process and brings it into the bones. And I can't imagine not taking D3 with K2 every day. I take 10 drops of Dr. Joe's D3 with K2 every day. You should too, because it's loaded with so many benefits. And the only time I've ever tested a patient and they had normal vitamin D3 levels is when they take a supplement. Now, if you work outside 20 minutes, a half hour, several times a week, with most of your body exposed without sunscreen, chances are you might have enough D3. I don't live that lifestyle. I might go to the beach or the pool every now and then, but it certainly isn't multiple times a week. And if I do go, I sit out in about 20 minutes. And the rule for sun is this: be out in the sun. When the skin gets warm and turns red, get out of the sun. If I go to the beach, I bring an umbrella, I bring a big hat. And the sunscreens that I use, I should do a whole show on this coming up soon, is zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. That's it. If the main ingredient isn't zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, you should not be using that sunscreen. Because sunscreen, A, blocks vitamin D3 from being produced, but it can also be carcinogenic. Isn't that ironic? There are chemicals in sunscreen that can be carcinogenic. So zinc oxide, titanium dioxide. How do you know? Read the ingredients, but it should leave a white film on you. If it leaves a white film on you, that's okay. If it doesn't leave a white film on you, it's not what you want to use. And never use an aerosol. So when you spray that, those little tiny particles get into your lungs and can cause damage to your lungs. So rub on zinc oxide, titanium dioxide. It's not fun because it leaves a little white film. It takes maybe, 3 minutes or 4 minutes versus 2 minutes. But believe me, that's where you want to be. And that's how I trust it. I know I'm taking care of myself. And it's going to do a lot of things, sun damage. Sun is great, just not too much of it. So vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 helps prevent buildup of calcium and fatty deposits in the arteries that can lead to heart disease. Well, that's exactly it. K2 takes the calcium from your blood and brings it into the bones. So A, it builds up your bones. B, it cleans out your arteries. And I've taken countless x-rays in my days, hundreds of thousands of x-rays in my day. And so often, multiple times a day, we'll see somebody has hardening of the arteries on the x-ray. Now, if we can see it on the x-ray, there's a lot there. It should not show up on an x-ray. Now, if you do have it, I know a lot of these places that do screenings, they test your calcium scores. They should be telling you to take D3 with K2, because one of the things K2 does is clean it out. There's also a thing called nattokinase, and nattokinase can help clean out those arteries as well. But the D3 and K2 is on our website, drjoe.com. I don't have a nattokinase supplement yet. I'm working on one. Because so many people have hardening of the arteries. They call it a calcium score. Well, let's clean that up. K2 may help prevent certain types of cancer cells. Clinical tests have shown it may improve the prognosis of certain cancer patients. Again, you should be taking it anyway. So not that you have to take it if you have cancer. You should be taking it every day anyway, and I take it with the D3, of course. It can synthesize a type of fat that's abundant in brain cells. So it can actually help the body produce fat to make the brain work more efficiently. So it's also a fat-soluble vitamin. So it works better when you take it with something fatty. I do recommend you take it with like avocado, nuts, olive oil, extra virgin organic olive oil. You can absorb it a lot better. It's still good by itself. Don't worry. Don't say I'm not going to take it. K2 can help. It's essential for proper blood clotting. So that's why people will say, well, Dr. Joe, I'm on blood thinners. I can't take vitamin K. Vitamin K1 is more involved with the blood clotting. K2 has a little bit involvement, but not much. But here's the thing. If you're on blood thinners, you need to change your diet and get healthy. Something's wrong. And as you change your diet and get healthy, hopefully you're healthy enough to start taking the vitamin K1 and K2, which are beneficial in so many other ways. And I always want to scream when a doctor says, don't take that supplement, it'll interact with your drugs. And I always want to say, don't take that drug, it might interact with your supplements. But I can't say that because I don't prescribe drugs. And I'm not against drugs. Please understand that. I'm against unnecessary use of drugs. I want you to do it healthy. I want you to live a healthy lifestyle. Then if you need drugs, let's use them. And not everybody's going to listen to me, obviously. So let's get you, my listeners, to get healthy and free up the healthcare system for people that aren't listening. So there's more time for them to go there, more time for the doctors to spend with those patients. Lets us not have to go there if we don't have to. K2 can help prevent gum disease and tooth decay. It can prevent against kidney stones and UTIs, urinary tract infections. It can help fight stress-related symptoms for anxiety and depression. And it's a fat-soluble vitamin, like we said, so you can get it with green leafy vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. Again, those cruciferous vegetables keep coming up. Same place for glutathione. So I take Dr. Joe's D3 with K2. I take 10 drops every day. That's 10,000 international units. That's fine. If you want to overdose on K2, a D3 with K2, you'd have to take about 100,000. So that's 100 drops every day for several months to even possibly, in a wild world, maybe possibly come close to seeing some type of early signs of toxicity from it. So it's very safe. Can you overdose? Yeah, you can overdose on water if you want to, too. So we're talking about multivitamins and how they help slow down the aging process. And, yeah, the minimum supplements, the package, Super Green, Essential Source, B-Complex, D3 with K2, and glutathione. That's what I would suggest as your starter kit. And if you have any specific questions about your specific conditions, send it to me through the website, drjoe.com. I've said this before. When you get a diagnosis, a serious health diagnosis, how many problems do you have in your life? One. All those other problems, your spouse, your money, your job, people you work with, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your family. I didn't like my sister. My niece was a jerk. All those problems go away. You have one problem. How do I deal with this emergency health crisis? And the best way to deal with an emergency health crisis is prevent it. Can you prevent everything? Absolutely not. But let's get you as healthy as you can. And I do a lot of work with surgeons and physical therapists and other doctors. And I want to get their patient as healthy as we can going into the treatment and as healthy as we can coming out of the treatment. We have classes that I've put together specifically on high blood pressure, diabetes, weight loss, smoking. Because so many people can't even get medical treatment. They can't get surgery. They can't get treatments because they're too sick to get well. That sounds kind of funny, right? They're too sick to get healthy. Gosh, maybe somebody needs a knee replacement. And I would use something called acoustic wave therapy before I would consider a knee replacement. Acoustic wave therapy is a machine. It sends really fast impulses into the joint, breaks up scar tissue, increases circulation, and recruits stem cells into the area. We've had so many people with degenerative hips, knees, shoulders, any joint, really, spine, being told there's nothing you can do, and we align the bones, use the acoustic wave, and the patients say it's unbelievable. We had a lady the other day, older woman, probably in her 90s. She walks with a walker. And she has something called avascular necrosis in her hip. That means the blood supply to her hip is being cut off, and it's not getting nutrients into the area, and the bone is dying. Not a good scenario. So I checked the research, and I said, okay, we can do this on a vascular necrotic hip. So one of my doctors did the treatment on her. And she comes walking out. She's standing in my reception area, and I notice she doesn't have her walker with her. And I said, what's going on with you? And she kind of wiggles like she's dancing. She goes, oh my gosh, I can't believe my hip feels this good. I can walk without my walker. Why didn't my other doctors tell me to do this? And I don't have that answer, guys. I don't know why other doctors don't recommend it. Now, there's a lot of alternative therapies that the doctors just aren't trained in, and I get that. So the answer is they don't know. Somebody famous once said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And I don't know of any doctor in my circle anyway, and I have a lot of doctors in my circle, that are doing anything malicious. I knew one, as a matter of fact, he was doing unnecessary surgeries, and I dropped him out of my circle of friends. I don't want to associate with you. You're cutting on people just so the insurance company pays for it. Well, that's why I always recommend a first opinion, a second opinion, a third opinion, a fourth opinion. And if everybody agrees, well, then okay. But if you have a joint issue, a hip issue, a spine issue, neck pain, back pain, your neck grinds when you move it, radiating pain, muscle weakness, come see us. Let's give you a second opinion. Let's see if there's anything alternative that we can do to help the problem. Maybe it's acoustic wave. Maybe it's chiropractic. Maybe it's cold laser. Cold laser does wonderful things with healing. Maybe it's nutrition. Maybe it's dietary changes. Maybe it's supplements. I don't know. But everything I just listed, I promise you, your doctor doesn't know about or doesn't know how to use it properly. So let's come here. Let's do an evaluation. Let's see if there's something we can help. If it is, I'll tell you. If it's not, I'll tell you that too. So don't waste your time and money. Let's find out what we can do. Normally, the first visit with us is $940. I've reduced that to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation. We haven't raised that price in decades. And the reason I do that is I want to find out what's going to be the best course of treatment for you. Maybe it's just a supplement. Maybe it's just a stomach adjustment. Maybe it's a hip. Maybe it's acoustic wave. I don't know. So drjoe.com. Book your appointments. We accept almost all insurances, Medicare, auto accidents, sports injuries, VA. We're on a VA referral list if they refer you here. Let's stop treating symptoms and let's get to the cause. Actually, let's not stop treating symptoms. Let's get to the cause so you don't have to treat the symptoms. Little play on words there. So we're talking today about supplements and the aging process. And I want to talk a little bit more about vitamin D because it's I would say it's the cheapest insurance policy you'll ever buy. It's also called the sunshine vitamin. It's one of 13 essential vitamins your body needs to function normally. Now, that's to survive, not to thrive. You need a lot of these other things to thrive. But vitamin D boosts immunity. You can get it through the sun, like we talked about earlier. Dietary supplements is the way most people get it in my world. Now, if you live in Jamaica and you work on the beach, probably not going to need a lot of vitamin D supplementation because you're close to the equator. The further you get away from the equator, the harder it is to keep your vitamin D levels up, just because of the angle of the sun. So there's one study, it's published in the journal Engineering, which I found interesting. Vitamin D supplements can enhance cardiometabolic health and help prevent the development of cardiovascular disease. Wait a minute. Number one killer in the United States is heart disease. Number one killer is diet, but I mean one as a disease. Number one killer is heart disease. Vitamin D can help take the calcium out of the blood and bring it into the bones, reducing the risk of cardiometabolic function problems and cardiovascular disease. How many of you have ever been told you need to take vitamin D3 with K2? Some of you have been told vitamin D3. Anybody ever talk about K2? I bet you not. That's why you come to the best. It falls under the cardiovascular disease umbrella, as does heart failure, arrhythmia, heart valve disease, and this is according to the American Heart Association. Boy, guys, we've got answers to your questions. We've got health problems that can be solved many times with something as simple as, I think it's 10 cents a day, 11 cents a day if you take D3 with K2. Wow. You wish you knew this earlier, didn't you? So D3 is really important. Findings suggest that higher vitamin D levels are required to maintain cardiovascular health. People that are obese, older populations, they should be taking it. I met with a senior housing group a couple of years ago, and I said, what if I can tell you, I asked a question. I was being a bit of a jerk. And I said, what if all of your residents in the senior housing facility right now were 5% healthier than they are right now? 5%, no more, just 5% healthier. How much money would you save? And they looked at each other, and they said, we can't even calculate how much money we'd save, just 5% better. I said, everybody needs 10 drops of D3 with K2. Give it to them every day. It costs about 11 cents. And they said, continue. What else you got? So something as simple as that is just amazing. Now, I want to talk about omega-3 fatty acids and the slowing of the aging process. Spoiler alert, the answer is yes. Omega-3 fatty acids are essential fatty acids. What that means, you have to get them from an outside source. Your body can't produce them. There's 9 essential amino acids. There's 20 amino acids in a human diet. 9 of them you have to get from an outside source. The other ones you can make out of other materials. You kind of, take this and this and create that. But 9 of them you can't make inside your body. Omega-3 fatty acids are essential fatty acids. You have to get them from an outside source. Now, growing old is good. I'm happy that I'm growing old. I'm glad I made it this far. But science is showing we have ways to slow down that aging process, and we're just not doing it on a broad scale. Some people are, like me, for example. So omega-3 fatty acids, first thing you think of is fish oil, right? Well, I'm going to go to the big box store and get this big jar of omega-3 fatty acids. It's going to be from fish oil, and I'm going to take it every day. Probably not a good idea. Fish oil goes rancid very quickly, so I don't recommend people use fish oil. It's also not in what's called the phospholipid form. Phospholipid is the form that you can utilize. So the body has to convert fish oil into the phospholipid form. Krill oil is already in the phospholipid form. And fish, you run the risk of mercury toxicity and heavy metal toxicity because fish are big and they've been around for a long time. Krill, very small, don't have a very long lifespan, so you don't have to worry about heavy metal toxicity. So of the two, krill oil is going to be a better choice than fish oil. However, krill don't make omega-3 fatty acids. Krill get it from eating algae. Algae is the purest form of omega-3 fatty acids. So that's the form that I recommend you take. I take it every day. I take about 1 gram a day of algae oil every day. And by the way, you should too. Biological aging is linked to health and functionality of cells, and it serves as a more effective measure of a person's health and lifespan than chronological aging. Now, chronological aging is I'm born on such and such a date, and today's the day, this is how old I am. I'm 30, I'm 50, I'm 64, whatever it is. That's your chronological age. Your biological age is how fast you're aging compared to the average person. And the distinct the clarification why one individual appears to be significantly older or younger is your chronological age. So you can look at somebody and say they look younger. You can do tests on their DNA and their telomeres to see how they're aging. But when we look at people that live the longest, it's called people that live in the blue zone, blue zones. Blue zones are, it's a phrase coined that says these are people that have the most amount of centenarians, people that live 100 years or older. And there's a few blue zones around. There's one in Italy, Loma Linda, California, Okinawa, Japan. There's a place in Russia. So what makes these blue zones? What's the thing that the blue zones all have in common? It's not climate. It's not religion. It's not culture. They all eat mostly a plant-based diet. I think Sardinia, Italy is another one too. They eat mostly a plant-based diet. They eat some fish or some animal products, but very, very little. And if they do, it's organic. It's not steroids, chemicals, hormones, antibiotics, genetically modified food, glyphosate. It's organic, natural foods, mostly plant-based. They exercise. They keep the body in motion. They get outside. And so we know that if they're eating good foods like flaxseed, chia seeds, they're going to get omega-3 fatty acids as well. Macadamia nuts have them as well, walnuts. And so if you're eating a good, healthy diet, you're going to get enough omega-3s, but I take an omega-3 supplement every day because I don't live in a pristine world of Okinawa, Japan. I have stress. I have pollution. I have deadlines to meet. I sit in traffic in the Atlanta market. I sit in traffic sometimes. So I make sure I take my omega-3 fatty acids. You should too. And that's one of the things that can actually speed up the aging process is not having enough omega-3 fatty acids. So there's so much evidence that indicates that omega-3 fatty acids may have anti-aging properties. It's anti-inflammatory. It helps the brain work more efficiently. And again, it's an essential fatty acid. You have to get it from an outside source. And algae oil is the purest form, and that's why I take it. Now, it can support muscle health through several mechanisms such as anti-inflammatory, modulation of insulin, mitochondrial support, and stimulation of muscle protein synthesis. As you get older, something's going to happen to you. I don't care who you are. It's called sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is the muscles get weaker. And so when I was young, I wanted to work out because I wanted to look pretty. And when I was in high school, I had a 45-inch chest and a 32-inch waist, and I looked pretty. I ain't so pretty no more. Now when I work out, I'm not working out necessarily to look pretty. I'm working out to keep that muscle strength. Because one of the best indicators of long life is the strength of your legs. And so I do squats every chance I can. I can usually do about 50 in a row if I focus on it, but usually I'll do 10. So as I'm brushing my teeth, I'll do 10, and I brush my teeth for 2 minutes using an electric toothbrush, and I'll wait a few seconds. I'll do another 10. If I'm in a radio studio, at the commercial breaks, I'll do 10 or 15 or 20 squats. If I'm watching TV when I get up to go get something, I'll do 10 or 15 squats. And my legs are very strong. My balance is very good. And that's one of the key indicators to anti-aging. And you don't have to squat weights, just your own body. Hold on to a counter if you want to. I was talking about this at the radio show the other day at the station. And I noticed when the news person came on, Michelle, at the break, she was holding on to the counter and doing squats. And I kind of smiled and she gave me a thumbs up. But something as simple as this, we call it exercise snacks. Little things that you can do, little snacks that you can do throughout the day to keep your body healthy. And whenever you eat anything, whenever you have a meal, I want you to walk for 10 minutes, or at least stand up for 10 minutes. Do squats for 10 minutes. Because that sugar, when it gets into your blood system, can float around. But if you're using your muscles, even just doing push-ups against the counter, you're driving that sugar into the cells and getting it out of the blood. Because insulin spikes and high sugar really speed up the aging process. because sugar binds to protein and creates something called advanced glycated end products, AGEs. I know it's funny, age, right? And it really ages you. So the advanced glycated end products occur when sugar binds to protein. So if the sugar's floating around, it has a chance to bind to the protein. If you're just getting it out of the blood, just doing simple exercises, you're going to get into the muscles, you're going to slow down the aging process, and you're going to have stronger muscles. And there's also something called lymphatic drainage in your body. Now, the heart pumps my blood. My sacrum, my occiput pumps cerebrospinal fluid. That's why with chiropractic care, you adjust the spine to open up the movement of cerebrospinal fluid. But lymphatic is the thing that flushes out your waste products, your dead germs, your viruses, your bacteria, and it flushes out the waste products. And the thing that pumps lymphatic fluid is muscle contraction. And that's why I want you, especially the big muscles, the legs, the butt, the hips, I want you doing those squats every chance you can. You don't have to go all the way down to the floor. I had Lee Haney on my show the other day. If you don't know who Lee Haney is, 8-time Mr. Olympia. And in his day, he had a 55-inch chest and a 35-inch waist. And if you ever look him up when he was competing, he looked superhuman. He looked like a cartoon. He was so big. Every muscle was ripped. And I remember a friend of mine was at his first competition. I said he was going to be on my show. He goes, I was at Lee Haney's first competition. He was probably in his 19 or 20 years old. He says he walked out on stage and everyone said, I've never seen a human specimen like this before. And so Lee was on a show, and he's my age now. And he's a regular guy. He looks like me, okay? And he's not big and ripped anymore. But he said, one thing, Joe, I didn't eat a lot of meat when I was working out. He says, I wanted food to go in and out. He called it in and out food. He said, I have a little bit of organic chicken, a little bit of wild-caught fish, but generally fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. So, again, more protein is a lie. You don't need more protein. But the key is that he, even though he doesn't have the muscle mass that he has now, he still keeps the body in motion. Because at this point, it's not about posing and winning competitions for us. It's about keeping the body healthy. And muscle strength is so important to keep the body healthy and slow down that aging process. And omega-3 fatty acids have been linked to helping the muscles work more efficiently. So healthy aging is defined as survival without chronic disease, cognitive or physical dysfunction. So how do we keep the brain working? How do we keep the digestive system working? How do you keep the body working the best it possibly can with minimum amount of disease? Normally functioning nervous system, normally functioning digestive system, good nutrition. Again, the minimum supplements would be what? Super Green Essential Source, B-complex, glutathione, vitamin D. They're all on the website, drjoe.com in the store section. I want you to do all of them. If you have to pick 2 Super Greens and Essential Source, take a scoop every day. Make sure you take it every day forever. If you have any health questions, send them to me through the website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Happy to answer your questions for you. If you want to make an appointment to come see us, and you should, let me check you to see what's going on, drjoe.com. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. If we don't have an office near you, let me know. I'll try to find you a doctor near you. I'm not very successful at that, though. And if you're a podcast junkie, go to your podcast service and type in Dr. Joe for the health of it. Dr. Joe for the health of it. Social media is Dr. Joe Esposito. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next time. That was a lot of information today. Made you guys think a little. You have questions for me, John?
Should I take nitric oxide before working out, or will it make my heart race?
No, take it before working out. You'll be amazed how much a better workout you get. I love taking it before a workout. Makes me not. I don't like working out, so it makes me feel better. I enjoy the workout when I take it. So. What else?
What are the health concerns, if any, that come along with owning pets?
A lot. Now, there's a lot of mental health that can come with pets. With loneliness, it helps with mental anxiety. However, cats especially, their fecal matter can harbor parasites, and it can get into the air, and you're cleaning out their bins. So I personally don't have any pets. And then there's also fleas, there's dander, allergic reactions. So there's a pro and a con to it. But cats especially, I'm not a big fan of just because of the, I want to say histoplasmosis, but that's not it. No, I can't remember what it is now. But anyway, it's parasite. And people have cats almost always get this parasite. So, but if it's a mental health issue, yeah, I said do it. Just, I like these new things now. I don't know how they work, but it's an automatic pet scooper for cats. The cat goes in there and it automatically cleans everything up. It's probably not a bad idea. So, what else?
What are your thoughts on vaccines?
That's a personal decision. I'm very careful what I say on the air about vaccines. That's a personal decision. I would say do the research. and then you can decide what to do. So.
If I make my own vegetable soups, what are the best seasonings? Is vegetable broth okay?
Vegetable broth is great, and you can make your own vegetable broth. Of course, celery is loaded with sodium, so that's why celery is always part of my soups. Celery, carrots, onions, leeks are great. You can add a vegetable broth to it. Vegetable broth really is like tamari or soy sauce or salt. It's really not a whole, if you buy vegetable broth cubes, sometimes they have a little bit of sugar in them. Again, I don't want you to eat sugar, but heck of a lot better than eating anything else. So, yeah, in my first book I ever wrote, it's called, I happen to have a copy here, Eating Right for the Health of It. We have over 300 recipes, and a lot of them are under soups because I love soups. I eat soup probably 3-4 times a week. So, yeah. What else?
How often should I eat cinnamon?
Cinnamon you can use every day, about a teaspoon or two every day, helps stabilize your blood sugar. Make sure it's Ceylon cinnamon, Ceylon. That's the kind you want to use, and that's the one that helps stabilize blood sugar. So, yeah, use it every day. Mix it in with your Super Greens and Essential Source. I do.
That is all.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it very much. Any questions? Where do you go? drjoe.com, drjoe.com. I hope